Chapter 7. Into the Lifeboats. The Titanic had 20 lifeboats. These boats could carry 1,178 people, but there were 2,224 people on the ship. So for nearly half of the people on the ship, there was no lifeboat. The first boat, Lifeboat 7, went into the sea at 12:55 a.m. with 26 people. Lifeboat 1 could take 60 people, but there were only 12 people in it. Lifeboat 6 had only 25 women and 1 sailor. The ship's officers helped the passengers with their life jackets. Women and children must go in the lifeboats, the officers said. Men must stay on the ship. But some of the women did not want to go. It was warm on the ship and cold in the dark sea. Young Mrs. Astor was cold. She wore a life jacket over her beautiful blue dress, but she did not have a warm coat. She wanted to stay on the ship with her husband. "I don't need to go in a lifeboat," she said. "The Titanic can't sink. Thomas Andrews told me that." Mr. Astor sat on a chair next to his wife. "Let's stay on the ship," he said. "We're safer here than in that little boat." For half an hour, Mrs. Astor sat with her husband. They watched women and children get into the lifeboats. They saw the sea come nearer and nearer. "It's no good," she said at last. "Mr. Andrews was wrong. This ship is sinking." Second Officer Charles Lightoller helped Mrs. Astor into Lifeboat 4. Mr. Astor wanted to go with her. "Can't I go with my wife?" he said. "She needs me. She's going to have a baby." "I'm sorry, sir," Charles Lightoller said. "These boats are for women and children. Men must stay here." Mr. Astor watched his wife go down into the sea in the lifeboat. "Don't be afraid," he said. "I'm going to be okay. We can meet in New York." "Goodbye, my love," she said. She never saw him again. Isidor Straus was 67 years old, and his wife was 63. "I'm not going without my husband," Mrs. Straus said. "Where he goes, I go." "That's okay," said Charles Lightoller. "He's an old man, so he can go with the women." "No," said Mr. Straus. "I'm a man. I'm staying here with the men." So Mrs. Straus stayed with her husband on the Titanic. The lifeboats were on the boat deck, near the first-class and second-class passengers. Anna Turja ran upstairs from E-deck towards the boat deck. "Stop!" a sailor said. "You can't go up there." Anna did not stop, but the sailor closed the door behind her. There were hundreds of angry passengers on E-deck, behind the closed doors. "Let us out," they said. "We're all going to die." Then Daniel Buckley and some more men broke the door and ran up the stairs. A lot of men were afraid and angry. "We must get on a boat," they said. But the officers on the boat deck had guns. "Stand back," they said. "Women and children only." But Daniel Buckley got into a boat and put on a woman's hat. When the officers looked into that boat, they saw only women there. Some third-class women passengers like Anna Turja and Carla Jensen, got into the boats too. Carla was cold. She had no shoes, just a nightdress, a life jacket, and a coat. 18 of the Titanic's 20 lifeboats went into the sea. Some had only 10 or 20 people in them, but Lifeboat 14 had 5th Officer Lowe with 58 women and children. After that, there were only 2 lifeboats, Lifeboats A and B, on the ship.